Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Mando Post Show, Chapter 22, Guns for Hire. So, I guess we got a lot of surprises in this episode. We finally got Christopher Lloyd's reveal. That was a rumored casting a long time ago. But we also got a few other cameos that I did not expect. Ted is coming in here. Ted, what'd you think of this episode, man?
What what just happened? What did we just witness?
Man, the reactions are gonna be all over the place, I think, for this episode.
This it I mean it was definitely entertaining to say the least. Um my goodness though, it just felt like a Bad Batch episode to be honest. I mean,
Yeah.
it's this just self-contained story, this sort of adventure of the week type deal,
Yeah.
and they've been really trying to do that this season with the Mandalorian. Is just do these side quests, go off and I didn't hate it. I mean, anytime I see Jack Black, I'm thrilled. So that's great.
Yeah, I agree. It was kind of an odd episode. The middle meat of that episode was interesting. Man, was it just me or was Christopher Lloyd's acting not up to snuff, it seemed like?
Um,
I know he's an
I w-
older man.
can't blame the guy. I
You
I
gotta
was
take that into
mostly with
consideration.
him. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
mostly with him. The the origins of his motivations was interesting. A Dooku follower. That was pretty cool. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
all right, I see what you're doing here.
Yeah. A lot of prequel ties in there with the battle droids and the super battle droids and yeah, mentioning Dooku's name. But yeah, it was a very bright episode. That was kind of interesting. But moving the Bo-Katan storyline along, it seems like Bo-Katan is really just right along with Din Djarin as being, or maybe even more so than Din Djarin being the central figure of this show for chapter or for season 3. And it's I'm glad for Katie Sackhoff. She's finally kind of getting her due. I know she's been close to getting several big roles and big time movies in Hollywood, but she's always been the bridesmaid. But now she's leading. She's pretty much leading a Star Wars show now, and it's cool. I like Bo-Katan as a character. I have no problem with it. Um, but yeah, heavy spoilers here. She has a dark saber. She got it back, and that whole kind of like argument of well, Din lost the dark saber to that creature, and then Bo picked it up and defeated that creature. So therefore, so we talked about that in the past, and we were all kind of scratching our head about that. And it appears that that is enough for her to reobtain the dark saber. So that writing exercise of okay, so how does Bo Katan get the dark saber back from Din without them fighting each other? They worked their way around that. So they've accomplished that. Filoni, Favreau, they did it.
I've been saying it. I was saying there was nothing in the writing was pinpointing a conflict between these two. We all assumed it. We all thought it was going to happen, but week after week, there was nothing in the story that would lead us to believe there's going to be any conflict between them. The exact opposite. They were working hand in hand nearly every episode. And here you go. It is a gift, whether they say it or not. It was a gift. So here we are.
So I think Liam brings up a good point here. So what is the next evolution of Bo Katan? Is the next step maybe romance between her and Din? I mean, could you see that, or do you think they're just going to strictly stay away from them? Because of course, I mean, you have the real world issue of Pedro Pascal really not being on set. It's usually Latif or or Brendan Wayne on set, but they could easily work around that. I mean, I see a way of them actually working around that. But I mean, do you think that they're gonna be like the kids now say today shipped.
I wouldn't be against it. It
Yeah.
just feels like another layer that might distract from what they're trying to accomplish.
Okay.
Her motivations are clear now. You know what I mean? She
Yeah.
only has her sight set on Mandalore.
Yeah. Uniting
And
people.
we still don't know who attacked her before. I just feel like we're already being set up for too many things. And if it happens, it happens. Ship
Yeah.
Bo Din Katan, however you
Dinbo.
want to call him, Din Bo, whatever you want to call that. But
Uh,
it's just not the focus right now.
yeah. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. It looks like we
Wow.
have 2 episodes left, Liam, and they're bookending. Well, not bookending. I guess this episode is right before celebration. The next episode will be right after the end of celebration. So, but yeah, this episode was actually shown to the crowd at Paley Fest. Are you familiar with that is?
I've heard of it before. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, there was a big Mandalorian event that happened at something called Paley Fest in California, and MegaCon was happening while that was happening. So that's why Katie Sackhoff only did a Thursday signing, I believe, and photo op, and then she flew straight to California, and it was Katie Sackhoff, Pedro Pascal, Rick Famuyiwa, Dave Filoni, and John Favreau on stage at a presentation. But they showed this episode, and I don't think any leaks came out or anything, so that was very very surprising. I think you felt like they did a really good job because I mean the fact that Jack Black and Lizzo and Christopher Lloyd were in this episode. You would think something would have leaked, or maybe I missed it. I don't know.
I have no idea, but even still, like we knew Christopher Lloyd was making a cameo somewhere. I had never heard Jack Black's name uttered anywhere around this series or this season.
Likewise, likewise.
That's pretty masterful. They were able to keep that under wraps.
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty good. Pretty good.
Real quick, I was equally as excited to see Mercedes Varnado
Yep.
Kolska Reeves, who
Mhm.
lied to us and said she was not going to be on this season.
Mhm.
But there you go. You can't trust um, anyone when they say something
Can't trust
anymore.
actors; they could be acting. Yeah,
You
yeah,
cannot
that's true.
trust actors.
Yeah, but there was a report that she might be in this season, and clearly, of course, she is. And the fact that we got to see Axe Woves, Simon Casanetti's act more, and he'll be at Celebration signing, so he might get a little nice little push and nice little bump in autograph signings and photo ops possibly. Um, but yeah, I agree with Liam here. They need to bring it home strong, or this will be the worst season. Saying this season will be the worst season is not that bad because season one, season two were fantastic. But I mean, you want to see story progression, you want to see character progression, and I'm a Bo-Katan fan, so I'm kind of happy. I like the dark saber. I like the fact that they're reunited. We finally got that over with. We got the how that happened explained to us, and we had already seen it in the season. We just um, didn't fully think that that was going to be the way, but that was the way. Um, so yeah, just 2 more episodes, and you figure Moff Gideon is going to he's got to show up in the next episode, right?
We said that before this episode aired. That's
Yeah, I
exactly
was
what we said
completely wrong
right
about that.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I no expectations right now. Just it they're getting back to a format that is serial in nature, right? Serial episodes or whatever they used to call the old timey TV shows, just venture of the week type escapades they're going through. this was very much that. This whole season has sort of been very much that. And I know we're all programmed, and our expectations are we need to see this linear story progress week to week, or else we are not fulfilled in our lives. And they are challenging that. And I'm merely just telling you, not defending anything. I am merely just saying what the goal is here and the objective. And clearly, like I mentioned before, we expected conflict between Din and Bo, and we never got an ounce of it all season long. And every week it didn't happen. It was glaringly obvious that they were going to try and make this leadership transition as seamless and as easy as possible. And here we go. It was a
Mm,
handshake gesture. Um, this episode I was getting very much Blade Runner vibes. I was like, this is
mm.
fun.
Interesting.
Very colorful, this little investigative sort of noir
Yeah, it was a
story that they're
detective story.
telling. Yes, absolutely. Totally Blade Runner vibes. I dug it. It was pretty cool. But we still
Yeah,
want this bigger story to fall, and to already we want the dominoes to start falling, and they haven't fallen all season.
right, right.
And we know that something's coming. The worst thing they could do is end the season on a cliffhanger.
Did you
And
catch that? Clint Howard's cameo?
I did not.
Kind of makes me think now everything that Dallas Howard has directed, maybe her uncle is in there somewhere and we just haven't noticed yet. Maybe she's keeping her father's tradition going with Ron Howard putting Clint and everything. Where was Clint Howard's cameo, James? James, why don't you join the show since you're up? Which which character was that? Was it? I'm guessing maybe an Ugnaught. Is that what he
That
got credited as?
that's what I was thinking.
Because otherwise, I don't know. I think I was so distracted by Lizzo and Jack Black. Okay, one of the Ugnaughts looked like him. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. And speaking of cameos, I asked the costume designer Shauna Tripsick on Facebook if that was indeed Doug Chang at the bar in the last episode, and she said yes, it was Doug, sitting right next to Deborah Chow and Rick Famuyiwa and Dave Filoni as the three X-wing pilots at the pilot bar there. How could you tell with all the makeup though? With all the animatronics on his face, but yeah, yeah. Yeah, interesting episode. I'm really eager to see what everyone thinks of it. I think a lot of people will be frustrated um, with this type of episode, but I think it's interesting. I liked it. I didn't love it, but so yeah, and Grogu is now officially a knight. Grogu's been knighted. So
That's Sir Grogu to you.
Sir Grogu. Have you seen that video that someone did about what if the Mandalorian was an 80s sitcom? And it listed like all the names of the actors, and it called Grogu Grogery St. John.
I gotta go look for that.
Yeah, James is saying I now live in a world where Jack Black is in Star Wars. Not surprising. I saw all the Super Mario red carpet stuff where Jack Black was wearing the Bowser blazer, and he was just like on the red carpet. Yeah, so I'm guessing this is Zach saying they solved that mystery too fast. Yeah, I mean, what do these two episodes have in store? Are we just gonna get all out war? And what of Pedro saying, "Wait till you watch what Bo-Katan does to me"? I'm still waiting for that. I thought we are gonna get it in this episode. I thought they were actually gonna duel after Bo-Katan defeated Axe Woves there.
Hmm.
But yeah, we'll see him at Celebration. See what he has to say. Um, But yeah, those cameos were super distracting for me. I just didn't even listen to any of the dialogue. I was like, "Oh my god, Lizzo is in Star Wars." Jack Black
Listen,
didn't surprise me too much, but the whole Lizzo thing was like, has she ever acted in anything before?
I want to say she's played herself in a couple of things
Yeah,
that I can't remember what they were, but
yeah. I think she
yeah,
did a decent job though.
there you go.
But it harkened back to the whole Megan the Stallion on She-Hulk type of cameo thing.
Well, hold on. There was no twerking in this. Twerking does not yet exist in the
Oh man,
Star Wars universe.
that's not a visual I want to conjure in my mind. But yeah, yeah. Overall, it was interesting. Very bright episode. Very detective story type episode.
You know,
And
it's what's it felt very familiar of a story. Honestly, I felt like this was a Batman episode where the antagonist was the toy maker. It just
mm,
when it started, I'm like, okay, robots going crazy. There's a tinker or toy maker somewhere in the shadows pulling the strings. I had no idea Christopher Lloyd's character was this security officer, whatever he was. So he honestly wasn't a suspect to me, but that was kind of neat. Little twist, not crazy, but interesting episode to say the least.
yeah. Well, I mean, once you have someone like a Christopher Lloyd on screen and he's just behind a desk, it's like, yeah, he's not just behind the desk. There's something more to him. I thought I was like, yeah, is he the villain of this story? And yeah, he technically kind of was. He was the one responsible behind it.
The mystery is over.
Yep, yep. Yeah, Liam says, "Is that the last we see of Christopher Lloyd?"
In
Possibly
what
not.
way?
You think it's the last or no?
I mean, we're just talking about this show, right? Like it's kind of a dark question.
Yeah, yeah, we're talking about the show.
Oh yeah, it's he's
Last
that's
of his
probably it.
character. Yeah,
That's probably it. I can't imagine. Again, these feel like self-contained side quests,
yeah.
much like every other episode this season. And I still don't even know if those flying T-Rexes that they battled before, if they're going to lead to anything.
The flying T Rexes.
The one,
Oh, yeah, yeah. The Newfoundlings.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you would figure when the battle's taken to Mandalore and Mandalore is fighting against the Empire, they might be put into service. But it looks like there's a good contingent of those Comrat class starships, just like Bo-Katan's ship, and they have an Imperial, like a baby Star Destroyer, with all that weaponry that they secured in that episode, the Heiress, in season 2. And looks like there's plenty of warriors there. Um, it looks like we're headed to a united Mandalore, and I hope we get to see the armor's face. But of course, that whole storyline with the armor, I mean, it feels like there might be something behind her motives. So she might be the ultimate villain here of the show. But
All right, so let's take one quick step back. That whole Mandalorians were the cause for Moff Gideon to escape. Now there could be this sort of plot twist or this subplot where Axe and Koska Reeves and this faction may have been responsible for freeing Moff Gideon. Perhaps they were paid to do so. Perhaps they wouldn't necessarily support him, I don't think, but that could be an interesting situation if they were the cause for Gideon getting freed.
yeah, I mean that's a possibility, and that information just haven't hasn't been divulged by Axe Woves or anyone there. might just be like another job type thing. But it could be another faction of Mandalorians out there, like I mentioned on the pre-show. Could be the Mandalorians, the Mandalorians with the horns on their helmets, a lot like what the armor has. So I mean, there's lots of other Mandalorians out there. I wouldn't say lots, but I mean they're scattered throughout the galaxy. So there could be other kind of coverts of and little kind of like new like bands of them kind of sprouting up, and of course they look like they're procreating because um, from what we've seen, there was a lot of younglings in the first episode there, and you figure they're going to procreate. But yeah, I can't now. I really can't wait to see what they do for the last two episodes because it feels like it's got to end with a bang. Even though we got to see a lot of alien life and a lot of um, effects heavy and different types of like cityscape environment inside those domes. Immediately when I first saw those domes, I thought, man, is this something we've actually seen before? Maybe an animation or something? Because it looked very familiar to me. Or maybe it was like a Macquarie drawing or something. But according to um, I guess just the context of the episode, it was a new planet, a newly found planet with a new name. And Bo Katan said, "Have you been here before?" Because it was very foreign to them. And it was weird that they were in something called the Hyperloop, which is something that Elon Musk is trying to develop an underground train type system.
Just felt like that monorail that Disney would have, and just traveling around it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Tim with the comment. The title for the episode is "Guns for Hire."
Yeah. Same as the title for this stream, chapter 22, Guns for Hire. But yeah, I think what he's referring to is when you go into the menu, it doesn't give you detail. It doesn't tell you the name of the chapter. Um, yeah, that's just the way
But
Disney does it.
that was also a Game of Thrones. I don't know what you want to call it, policy. I don't know.
Okay.
Game of Thrones. They would not put the title. One of their seasons, one of the final seasons, they wouldn't put the title in the listing until after like the initial airing or something like that, or it wouldn't pop up until the next morning, so the title wouldn't be listed actually on the app until
Yeah.
like the following morning.
Yeah. You know what? It really makes me want to take my dark saber to Celebration now and get it signed by Katie Sackhoff.
I feel like you should take every advantage you can
I think I'll just disconnect the blade and take the hilt and be like, bam. I
and tell
already
her
have
this
her.
is a gift.
um, yeah. I don't know if I'd want to leave it with her, but but yeah, that's all I got really. Maka says I just finished the episode. What do you think, man?
Mm.
Let us know in the comments. I'm interested in hearing from all the fans, see what they thought about this episode. Um, feels like to me that a lot of people are gonna have a lot of stuff to say about it, and it's gonna be, I think, the conversation at Celebration will be interesting to hear. I with the Celebration crowd, everyone's pretty positive, so I don't expect anything too harsh. But I want to
Nah,
see
probably
what,
not.
yeah, I want to see what everyone's saying online about it. So I think with that, the next time I think you possibly might see me podcasting will be on or inside of the Excel Center in London at Celebration. And yeah, Evan says tell her she can challenge you for it.
My money's on Katie. Sorry.
Man, you saw what she did to Axe Woes. That's a big dude.
That was a great. We haven't talked about that. That was a great
Yeah.
fight sequence. I mean,
Yeah.
exactly how
Falling
to
off the top of the ship and then
grappling it.
grappling him, using his body weight to keep her from falling. Yeah, that was pretty good. So yeah, Mega thought it was good, kind of throughout, but the whole challenge, but and Bo getting the dark saber was all. Yeah, I think the whole purpose for this episode was reuniting Bo with the Darksaber and showing Mandalorian detective skills. So Mandalorians are essentially kind of like Batman. She manhandled hacks. I was hyped. You can tell she's a vet. Yeah, yeah. She is an older lady. She's according to the timeline, she's like in her 50s, but of course Katie's like in her 40s. So she's just like 10 years younger than what Bo actually is. So, yeah. Any last thoughts, Ted?
No. You be safe. You have a great time, and this is the way.
Thank you, sir.
May the force be with you in London.
Thank you. And with that, I'll see you later. May the force be with you.